Hello and welcome to another episode of the Embodied Union podcast. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Charlie.
And today we're going to be talking about...
Couples that play together, stay together.
Yeah, we are on the back of a 4-day, multi-day hike that we did. We went into the wild and went on adventures together.
We did, and I've never done a multi-day hike before. And now in hindsight, it feels like it was quite ambitious, especially with our second day being 9 hours of uphill battles and torrential rain. But it was, and so many leeches. But it was such an adventure. There was such a range of like moments of joy and excitement and beauty, and then tears and frustration and panic and fear. It was a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I guess we were walking and talking and really just considering that, you know, how well we get along and how much of our relationship is based on play and having those moments together. And we really got that it's just like, we often see couples at a point of like not playing, not engaging with each other in a way that builds, you know, fascination or excitement or even just adventure together. So
yeah, I think when you first get together, all of that's kind of spontaneously there. There's the novelty and the mystery, and like dates are very intentional, activities are intentional. Everyone's like putting their best foot forward, and it feels like it just kind of happens. But the trap that we see couples fall into over time is complacency. And I really do get that life is life and we go through different seasons and children happens and businesses happen and all the things. But couples stop playing. They stop playing. They stop doing the intentional kind of activities that they did, and then wonder why it feels a bit flat. Wonder why that spark is kind of out and the arousal dies. And yeah, I just really see complacency as a huge cock block.
yeah, and I guess, you know, for so many couples, say like, you know, people wanting to have more intimacy, say, let's say a man wants to have more intimacy with his partner. It's like, how are you as a man inspiring moments together that bring you closer together, that isn't just the directness of more intimacy? It's like, how are you creating an environment in your relationship to inspire desire?
Yeah.
You know, when was the last time you took your woman into something that's, you know, the unknown or mystery? And sure, there might be some blocks around fear and, you know, like the ability to be able to organize and plan, but it doesn't have to be a 4-day, multi-day hike. It could just be, you know, taking her out for the day, you know, and creating that environment for you to explore and have play together.
Yeah, I think the thing to know is that foreplay actually gets to happen way before you even enter the bedroom, way before you're even in the exchange of like eros and arousal. It's like foreplay can be happening all the time if you know how, but going on little adventures, being very intentional, that is great foreplay. You know, especially doing something like a multi-day hike, because you are in nature, which is kind of putting you into presence. Also, like sometimes when you have moments of stress and adrenaline, you're connected with this, my experience of being in a situation with you where there was some stress in my system, but having you look at me and say, I've got it, and really get to be in the experience of you having it and looking after me and letting your nervous system settle mine, like that, I think is gold for attraction. You know, so couples who have been together for a while and they want to like fuel and rev up attraction, it's like you can create little moments of like stress and adrenaline in the body and emotions are running high. And I think that can bring you closer to your partner when it's met well.
Yeah, I think, you know, and thank you for acknowledging that. And
acknowledging you being my hero.
We definitely had some moments on the hike. I'm sure we'll get to that. But I think just, you know, for the listeners, it's what are we doing? What are you doing to create adventure? How are you leading that in your relationship? And I so get for couples that the thought of going away or doing something together might actually bring up anxiety, might actually bring up, you know, not being able to get it right, or fear of, not being able to plan something that's good enough or whatever it might be. And it's, how can we be in the practice of non-attachment around that? How can we surprise ourselves? I think so often when we plan something, we can't plan everything, we can only just give ourselves a guideline to creating some situation for our partner and in our relationship to go and do something exciting together. So, and this can be many different hobbies, but I think what I want to also acknowledge is just that over the time of our years together that we've found many different ways to play. It doesn't have to be just physical adventures. Sometimes it's shibari, surfing
It's
together.
definitely one of the things I've noticed, that even before we were a couple, we came together to create. We wanted to create something in business. So there's lots of excitement and energy around being in creation together. And yeah, like we were doing shibari from the very beginning, like you just said, the surfing, the hiking, but we constantly have these shared activities that bring us both joy, something to look forward to, and something for us to be like talking about that feels very fun and exciting. Like there's never been a time in our relationship where there hasn't been something that we're looking forward to together. And I know you're just speaking into like some of the blocks being fear of getting it wrong, but I think one of the biggest blocks for long-term couples is the belief that they don't have time.
Oh yeah.
And like, yes, it's true we do not have babies currently, but we definitely have full-time businesses and study that, like, if anyone thinks being an entrepreneur is like less hours than the standard 9 to 5, you're bloody out of your mind. So like, there is busyness in our lives, and we haven't let that stop us from prioritizing doing, like, putting our relationship first and doing the things that we love, because we really get that it's how important it is.
Yeah, it creates the magnetism for both of us, I think, and that's really important in day-to-day life, is like making sure that you're living your life to your values. And I think if you know your values and you know your partners, and maybe even your relationship values, it's, are there activities that you can be doing together that create more alignment and more connection and connectivity? And like Charlotte was saying, around having things to talk about and discuss, it's like, how much fun and excitement and adventure did we get to have before we even left? And it
there was weeks of planning and like, what are we getting? What does the hike look like? And the build up, and then the talking about it after. It's
the weather the whole time. Yeah, like how great.
And like a lot of couples just get into the routine of talking about daily activities, kids, chores, household things, money, finances, budget, and wonder why the relationship feels stagnant.
Yeah.
That's when you run the risk of like falling into flatmates rather than lovers. It's just the basic small talk.
And the conflict. Like, I see this, it's a pretty standard thing. It's just like, if we're both bogged down with stress of the mundane, it's pretty easy to start to bicker. If I'm not feeling good and I feel however it is, and I make it your responsibility or your fault, it's easy to stop being a team and really start to just fight or bicker over it, or, wanting that time to be separate somehow. Like, I really get too that there might be couples listening to this and, the idea of spending time together, more time, feels like it could be more arguments or more upset.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if the thought of going on a 4-day multi-hike with you, I was like, oh, no, too much together. And I'm sure couples are in that experience. So there's stuff to be cleaned up there if that is the case, right?
Well, that's what I'm sort of alluding to here. It's like, and the same before about, if going on a hike or doing something together over multi-days feels like it's
more stress than play.
There's something in the way. And if it's not being addressed, it's only stifling your own experience of what relationship can truly be like. And again, often I see couples, they're enduring their relationship rather than thriving in it, and feeling like, oh, I can't, that won't change. I can't change it. It's them. It's their
Well,
stuff.
that's actually the trap, It's when you're sitting in, if they changed, then it would be better, then you're not going to get anywhere.
That's
If
right.
both individuals could just look at, how could I change? How could I show up differently? That creates something. That creates the change.
Yes.
Fast as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's like having the experience of how do we come to some agreement around what we're going to do together, because I really see that for some couples, it's like someone might like to go hunting or fishing or do something like, okay, perfect example for us two is like, I like to hike, and when I go hiking, I'd like to hike mountains. I want to go up high and rock scramble and feel the fear of maybe dying. And
when I go hiking, I don't want to do any of that. I want to walk. I want to walk along the coastline. I want to walk through the forest. I really don't want the fear of death. So it's like we have to kind of like come to an agreement around, okay, we're going to go on a 4-day hike. Like, what's the terrain? I always trust that you're not going to take me up a vertical hill of death, and I'm still waiting for maybe one time you're going to sneak something in. But like, that's like, we both like to hike, but we have different desires inside of hiking for sure.
Yeah, and getting clear on what's the outcome here, like what's the purest form of this? What does it boil down to? Is it adventure? Is it time away from devices? Like, that was a big thing for me, is like being offline for 4 days just felt amazing, and getting 12 hours of sleep a night. Like,
when you walk for 9 hours up a vertical hill of death, your body needs to recover.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And, I think in the past, say Shibari's been something that, it's a skill for me and it's a meditation for you. And surfing is like we both get to experience doing something together, but is quite individual.
Can't be.
Yeah. If you're not getting pushed on.
You're not pushing me onto waves, just leaving me out there all alone.
So yeah, I guess this kind of conversation really boils down to like, what are you doing in your own relationship for adventure? And are you, playing with each other?
I also just want to speak into, if you're in a relationship and you're trying to create moments of fun and adventure, and it's always a fucking disaster, like it's always a fight. It's always really hard. It's always stressful. Like, I've been in relationships where we try to do really fun stuff together and it was just a nightmare. Like,
really?
Always fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I shared this recently. I did a comparison between a relationship I was in years ago and I'm in Japan. Japan's like a really cool, fun place to go. And like, my dream is to go to Japan for cherry blossoms or autumn, the oranges and the reds and the leaves. And we went in winter because my partner was a snowboarder. And I don't know, maybe you resonate. Like, having your partner teach you something is not always the best idea. Like, sometimes it's best to get a professional. So we're in Japan and I got 5 days of professional snowboarding lessons. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm ready to snowboard with him. I'm good. And to give him some credit, he was really sick. So his mood was awful. But we went snowboarding together for the first time and he was so frustrated with me, so impatient. Like, you've had 5 days of lessons. Why are you so slow? And like, maybe you resonate with this too. The more frustrated someone is with you, like, the worse you get. So I'm getting more and more panicked and even worse at snowboarding. He's getting more frustrated. I'm crying. That's making him even more mad. And it's just this whole thing that's meant to be fun. And it's just not, because we're not in a good relationship. And then fast forward to now, we go on this multi-hike and it's the second day and it's exhausting, but it's also torrentially raining. And then it gets to this point where it gets freezing. And then it gets to this point where it's getting dark and I'm in this panic that we're not at the campsite yet. And I feel like we must have missed the sign. And I start running because I want to warm up. And I'm like, we've just got to get there. And then there's a moment where I'm like, you need to call someone because we are lost. And I'm just in this huge panic. And in the past, in this old relationship, that again just would have been a moment of trigger, being met by trigger and frustration.
Right.
And in this relationship, I'm in this full panic, like, I'm going to die. You don't understand. Get the tent out. You need to put it up right here, right now. I need to get in. I need body heat. You got to call someone, get the chopper. And you just are like, babe, I got it. Come with me. We're just going to walk down another 100 meters. It's going to be right there. And of course, the camp was right there. And you put me in a tent. You give me hot food. You give me a hot water bottle. You're like, babe, do you want to come out now and like have dinner and we'll set up stuff? And I'm like, I'm not leaving the tent. I'm done, Lindsay. And he just leaves me in there, but not mad about it. And just like such a sweetheart. And I'm like, oh yeah, gets to be like this. It gets to be good. So I just wanted to share that because sometimes you're in a relationship trying to create moments of fun. Maybe you have had that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, why is this so fucking hard? And we're trying to have a good time. And then there's some relationships where it's just, we're having a good time. And even when there are moments of like humanness and fear, it's like that actually brought us closer together. It didn't ruin the trip. It allowed you to step into your masculine and like be there for me. And it allowed me to like have the experience of like, oh, my man, he got me.
I think where I see it fall down and where I've experienced the fall down in the past is having the assumptions about what's going to happen.
How it should be.
Yeah, and I think that's been my downfall in the past as far as like having expectation and not knowing how to speak to my own expectations and either being upset by it and pretending like I'm not upset by things not going to plan or things not happening that said they might happen or along those lines. And what I've really learnt over the years for myself is speaking to the intention of what it is that we're wanting to get out of it before we go. And for me is practicing non-attachment, like practicing, can I set up an experience for myself and my partner and have a good time and not be attached to the outcome. You know, like let's say for example this 4-day multi-hike, by day 2 everything was so wet and my pack was a couple of kilos heavier of like wet things that doing day 3 there was a risk of everything, like especially this camera that we're shooting on right now, my drone, all my clothes, just everything getting wet. And I, practicing the non-attachment was like, you know what, maybe we just walk out. Tomorrow we just hit the fire trail and it looks like it's going to rain all day, which it kind of didn't rain during the day, but it definitely would have rained at night. We would have been so wet again and setting up a wet tent and everything that it was like, I'm okay in this moment to go home and to keep us dry and come back another time and do a different section or go on another hike. So
I think that's a really good point because we sit with couples often where there is so much disappointment, like, oh, not this again, like trying to do something together. We've made a plan, we're doing the thing, and then now you're upset about something. And it's just like...
Yeah, or you having to panic.
There's no room for the humanness or the flexibility for the fact that like shit happens.
Really does in relationships.
You're really great at actually the non-attachment. One of the first dates Lindsay and I went on, he took me out to see the whales and he got his drone up, his old drone, and it's out over the ocean. I don't know how far out it was.
800 meters.
And suddenly it's like, beep, beep, critical battery or critical something. And he's trying to fly it back. I'm just watching him. I hardly know him. I'm like, oh, how's he going to manage this one? And the drone fell out of the sky into the ocean, gone forever. And I'm like, oh, this is going to teach me something about this man. And yeah, totally, yeah, it happens.
Well,
it happens.
It really did.
Non-attached. I was like very impressed. And I always wondered, I'm like, is that because we were on like a 3rd date? I wonder now, 3 years in, if on that camping trip, if this new drone that you have, very expensive, that had fallen off the edge of the mountain, would I have seen the same non-reactivity?
I don't know actually. But, like what I will say in that is, I give that example is actually good because in that moment, I've done the pre-flight check. I've done what I could do, like what was in my control, I've managed. And if the cell of the battery dies mid-flight while the thing's 800 meters off the coastline and it starts to just land in the ocean, like really, what could I have done different?
Right. So are you saying in moments of like that kind of thing happening, the frustration is really about I kind of fucked that up. Like I could have done something about that. But
Yeah.
if it's like I actually did everything, that's interesting because it was not really frustration of loss of tech gear. It's frustration of I could have prevented that.
Yeah, well, that's the way that I sort of view it in myself. This is the I can't get it right, or this is how I got it
Mm.
wrong. It's, you know, it was like a perfect example is we're on day 2, the sun comes out, we're on a cliff top, you know, and it's a perfect opportunity to fly the drone. And all of a sudden it starts to rain, and I'm trying to bring the drone back in, and it wouldn't turn. It wouldn't turn back towards us. And I'm thinking, oh, the drone is too wet and it's stuck and it's not going to return and something bad's going to
And
happen.
then a falcon
Yes, a peregrine falcon.
swoops past it.
And it was just like, oh no. And then I realized that one of the settings was on where it was trying to do a circle and you can't change the direction. And it was like, that was actually my fault. If that drone would have crashed, I would have known deep down that I made a mistake and that it was on me.
Mm. Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. Like what actually creates the frustration and the triggers that we feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, and the great thing that I'm finding in this, you know, for us in relationship is really seeing each chapter of our life together as the next adventure.
Yeah,
Like,
so true.
I always get to be in the fascination of like, what are we going to be up to
Moving
next?
to Bali,
Yeah.
moving to Byron. Like, yeah, it really does feel like we keep opening up a new book
Yeah.
from the Lord of the Rings series or The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Next chapter.
Yeah, just like what's next? And, you know, coming off this hike, you know, was it the Gigium Gilgani walk is the one that we did behind
Highly
Byron.
recommend.
Yep,
Back of Byron.
yep. Andy the busman, best busman in the world, our Englishman. And yeah, just what's next for us as far as like what adventure awaits is some more hiking in this area for sure.
We're going hiking tomorrow, by the way. Lindsay couldn't wait it's not even been a week. We're not even back a week. My knee is still sore. We're planning to go tomorrow overnight.
We're going on a very mild walk along the coastline and making a fire on the beach at some point. So that'll be fun. But just, you know, like thinking about what other adventures, you know, and I guess for yourselves listening is like, what's something that you've always wanted to do, and is it a possibility? Is it something that you might
Yeah.
want to plan with your partner?
And don't wait for time to open up. Create the time. You know, like life goes fast. It gets faster and faster. And when it's just like next year, this milestone in business, or even babies and children, like take them out of school. Take them out of school. Do the thing. Do it now. It's just like make it happen. Make it happen. And you don't need to do things that cost millions of dollars. You know, like with us going camping, like, yeah, you need the initial gear set up. But yeah, you can find things to do and just create the time.
Make the memories. I think that's
Yeah.
the big thing is like, how are you,
Play.
creating play? Because couples that play together,
Stay together.
if you want to get in contact with us around anything to do with relationship, maybe your relationship right now, you're finding it quite hard to communicate or self-regulate, or there's looping arguments, we would love to be able to support you in your relationship. If you want to get in contact with us, it's as easy as jumping on Instagram and finding us at Embodied Union, or you can contact me at Lindsay B.
I am Charlie S. Hannah on Instagram. All right,
Thanks,
my
girl.
lover. Looking forward to some more adventures with you.
I love you, sweetheart.
I love you.